You have such a great class.
Yes, and Alice speaks Spanish.
Alice, ¿hablas español? ¿Sí? Dime algo. Di buenos días.
Respond?
No?
Very shy.
Okay.
All right.
Pues yo también hablo español. Does anybody else speak Spanish? No? Do you guys want to learn Spanish?
I say clase, you say yes, say. That's about it.
So, do you guys know what today is?
Dr. Seuss's birthday.
It's Dr. Seuss's birthday, and it's also called Read Across America Day. So, all across America, people are reading books to kids, and I'm so lucky because I get to read to you guys, which is really, really super exciting. And this is such an awesome book. Have you guys read it before?
I am.
Yeah? What do you like about it?
I like it because the guy lets all the animals out. The cage, what he's imagining, if he ran the zoo, he'd let all the animals out.
He'd let all the animals out? Who can tell me what they would do if they ran the zoo? What would you do if you ran the zoo?
Let people ride the ponies.
You would let people ride the ponies? That's a great idea. I wish you ran the zoo. What about you?
I would play with the gorillas.
You would play with the gorillas? You wouldn't be afraid?
No.
What about you?
I would let people ride the horses.
You would let them ride the horses. The two of you would let everybody ride horses. What about you?
I would play with a monkey.
You would what with a monkey?
Play.
You would play with the monkeys? What about you? What would you do if you ran the zoo?
I would let the man pet the animal inside the cage.
You would let people pet the animals inside the cage? That would be awesome. All right, well, let's read What If I Ran the Zoo. And you guys know who this is by, right?
Dr. Seuss.
Do you guys know any other good Dr. Seuss books?
Yeah, the first one.
Which was that?
That was the one where his dad didn't believe him with everything.
To think. Do you remember, Abby? To think that I saw it on, not Blueberry, Mulberry Street.
What other book do you know?
Wiki Wednesday.
Wiki Wednesday? Wacky Wednesday. I don't know that one.
I think they're excited about a book they're going to hear this afternoon, or later this morning.
Oh, you guys going to have
What was that?
another
What was that?
reader?
What is that called?
Wacky Wednesday.
No, why do
That
we have
Mr.
hats
Mark
on
is
today?
going
in the hat. Cat in the hat.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
that book.
All right, let's read. It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, and the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. Does he look proud?
No. It looks mad.
You think he looks mad?
No. No, he looks asleep or standing.
Yeah, he looks like he's standing there just with his eyes closed, but he's sort of standing like this.
Sleeping.
So I think that that's why they
he's
think that he looks like he's proud.
Wow.
But if I ran the zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, I'd make a few changes. That's just what I'd do. The lions and tigers and that kind of stuff they have up here now are not quite good enough. You see things like these in just any old zoo. They're awfully old-fashioned. I want something. God. This sign says, to the elephants. This sign says, tiger. And what do you guys see in here?
He's unlocking
What's in the cages? Nothing.
and food.
It's open.
He let them out.
Yep. All they have is their water bowls and their hay beds and their bones, but nothing. There's no animals in there. So I'd open each cage. I'd unlock every pen, let the animals go and start over again. and somehow or other, I think I could find some beasts of much more unusual
Oh my gosh,
kind.
there's a bear going in the other room.
That looks like something.
That's a polar bear.
So he says that he would find more unusual animals than just the regular tigers and horses and stuff like that. What would be some unusual animals to find in a zoo? What would be an unusual?
Wild horse.
A wild horse? Probably. What?
Penguin.
Penguin? You've never seen a penguin in a zoo?
No.
No? Where do you usually see a penguin?
In the ice.
In the ice, yeah, really?
At the aquarium.
Yep, sometimes in the aquariums. Very good, you
The
guys.
North Pole.
And definitely in the North Pole.
On Ice Mountain.
So here we go. This is the first unusual animal that he would have. A 4-footed lion's not much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 feet at least. 5 legs on the left and 5 more on the right. Then people will stare and they'll say, "What a sight! This zookeeper, new keeper, Gerald's quite keen.
It's going down.
That's the gold darndest lion I've ever seen."
It's supposed to be 2 on each side.
Right? Normally there's 2 on each side, but in this one there's how many on each side?
10.
How many on each side?
It would be funny.
And if he has 5 on one side and 5 on the other side, how many will he have?
10.
10. Do you guys have 5 and 5? Right?
Yeah.
That's your 10 right there. Yeah.
10.
That's right.
No, we don't. 10.
My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people talk. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people gawk. Do you know what gawk is?
No.
When you like stare. Like that. That's gawking. At the strangest odd creatures that ever did walk, I'll get for my zoo a new sort of hen who roosts in another hen's top knot, and then another one roosts in the top knot of his, and another in his, and another in his, and so forth and upward and onward. Gee whiz. You see that? There's a hen on top of a hen. Wait. There's a hen on top of 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 a hen. That's a strange hen, isn't it?
Poetry something.
I like that it's a pattern because it has a pattern on it, and then like that goes big, medium, and
Yep.
then like that, and then like the pattern.
And what other pattern besides the little, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger? What's another pattern that you see here?
Different colors.
Yep. So it goes what color?
Blue, red, blue, red, blue, red.
You have such a smart class. They totally get patterns. But that's just the start. I'll do better than that. They'll see me next day in my zookeeper's hat, coming into my zoo with an elephant cat.
What's the elephant cat?
It's an elephant cat. They'll be so surprised, they'll all swallow their gum. They'll ask, when they see my strange animals come, where do you suppose he gets things like that from? His animals all have such very odd faces. I'll bet he must hunt them in rather odd places.
Owl gum.
An elephant cat. Interesting. And that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go places quite out of the way.
That was sweet.
You have to go places no one can get to, no others can get to. You have to get cold and you have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole, where the frozen winds squeal, I'll go and I'll hunt in my skeegly mobile and bring back a family of what do you know? And that's how my new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will grow. So he went all the way where?
To the North Pole.
Yeah, how do you guys know it's the North Pole?
Because it's snowing.
It's it's really snowing and it looks really cold.
And his wheels have
Santa's there.
And what does it have up here?
Skis.
Yeah, it has skis, and then the wheels have what?
Spikes.
Spikes. And why do the wheels have spikes?
So it can grip the ice, so it doesn't slide into the
You guys
water.
are so smart. What a smart group of kids. I'll hunt in the mountains of Zomba-ma-tant with helpers who all wear their eyes in a slant, and capture a fine fluffy bird called the bustard, who only eats custard with sauce made of mustard. Sounds delicious, doesn't it?
You know that.
Mustard custard.
You know
And also a very fine beast called the flustard, who only eats mustard with sauce made of custard.
What is custard mean?
Do you guys know what custard? Do you guys know pudding?
Yeah.
So custard is like pudding. It's a little bit like a pudding, but can you imagine having mustard pudding?
Yeah.
Not the most tasty thing, right?
Mustard.
I'll catch them in caves, I'll catch them in brooks, I'll catch them in crannies, I'll catch them in nooks. That you don't read about in geography books. I'll catch them in countries that no one can spell, like the country of, let's see if I can get this one, of Moda, Fa, Poda, Fapel.
That's a tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister. In a country like that, if a hunter is clever, he'll hunt up some beasts that you never saw ever. I'll load up 5 boats with a family of jotes. Jotes. These are not just regular goats. These are called jotes.
Are those real?
Whose feet are like cows, but wear squirrel skin coats, and sit down like dogs, but have voices like goats.
They look real.
They sort of do. They're kind of a cross between a goat and a dog, and they have like squirrel coats, and they're pretty interesting.
They look like a cat.
Excepting
Goats are
they
real.
can't sing in very high notes.
But goats are real.
Goats are real, but yotes are kind of like a mix of a bunch of different things.
Mountain goats are real.
Yes, they are.
Like half here.
Do you guys, remember, what is this zoo of his? Is it made up of real animals or animals that nobody has ever seen before?
No way not.
Right, so these are all sort of like made up animals. But what's really interesting is how he like makes them by combining different kinds of animals that we do know and making a new animal out of them. And then I'll go down to the wilds of Nantucket and capture a family of lunks in a bucket. Nantucket that's an actual place.
Looks like
Then people will say, now I like that boy heaps. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is growing by leaps. He captures them wild and he captures them meek. He captures them slim and he captures them sleek. What do you suppose he will capture next week?
turtle. A turtle.
I'll capture one tiny. I'll capture one cute. I'll capture a deer that no hunter would shoot. A deer that's so nice he would sleep in your bed if it weren't for those horns that he has on his head. Can you imagine trying to sleep with a deer that has horns that big? It would be a little pokey, wouldn't it?
That would be a lot pokey.
And speaking of horns that are just a bit queer, I'll bring back a very odd family of deer. A father, a mother, 2 sisters, a brother, whose horns are connected from one to the other. Whose horns are so mixed they can't tell them apart. can tell where they end and can't tell where they start. Each deer's mighty puzzled, he's never yet found if his horns are hers or the other way round. You
It
see
made
how
a
they're
heart.
see how they're all linked together?
It made a heart.
That made all sorts of shapes. Here, this one's the heart, right?
There, right there.
What other shapes
Right
do you
there,
see?
right there.
Do you see a shape?
No.
No? Does
Yes.
anybody see another shape that they want to point out to the rest of us?
I don't see a shape, but I see a really cool
Spencer, why don't you show me? And what shape is that?
heart.
Excellent. All right.
I see something. I see something.
I'll capture them fat and I'll capture them scrawny. I'll capture a scragglefoot mulligatawny.
What's a mulligatawny?
That's a mulligatawny. And before today, I had no idea what a mulligatawny was. Did you?
No.
Nope. A high-stepping animal, fast as the wind, from the blistering sands of the desert of Zinde. This beast is the beast that the brave chieftains ride when they want to go fast to find some place to hide. A mulligatawny is fine for my zoo, and so is a chieftain. I'll bring one back, too. So this is the chieftain. He's going to bring that to the zoo as well. Now the zoo's turning into a circus. In the far western part of southeast North Dakota lives a very fine animal called the iota.
Iota.
That's the iota.
It looks like the one that was in the front.
Like the hen, a little bit with a sort of crazy hair.
No, I meant the one that was in the front.
Oh, like this one in the front? Yeah, but a little bit different with minus the hair, right?
And the nose.
But I'll capture one who's even much finer in the northeastern west part of South Carolina. When people see him, they will say, "Now, by thunder, this new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is really a wonder." Most beasts are quite friendly, but still, in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with bare hands. For those that are ugly and vicious and mean, I'll build a bad animal catching machine. See that? That's the bad animal catching machine. Does it look like a bad animal catching machine?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does. What does it have that makes it look like a bad animal catching machine?
A cage.
What is it?
Cage.
Yeah, like right here. And the other thing that makes it a bad animal catching machine is that it's like really far away from the person, right? Because that way, if something goes wrong, the bad animal can't do anything to you because you're too far away. A zoo should have bugs, so I'll capture a thwirl. That's a thwirl.
The long legs.
Whose legs are snarled up in a terrible snarl. And then I'll go out and capture some chugs. See the chugs?
How come they can fire cannon?
Let's see if we find out. Some keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bugs. So they shoot beans at each other. Pretty cool, huh?
Shoot.
That's my favorite animal so far.
They shoot beans at each other. That's my favorite animal. That's my favorite animal.
All right, hold on.
I wonder what that one is.
Well, you're going to find out.
Whoa!
I'll go to the African island of Yurka and bring back a tizzle-top tufted mazurka.
Its neck is bigger than
This
its
is
body.
called a tizzle-top tufted mazurka.
His neck is bigger
Pretty
than
cool.
his body.
A kind of canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long, if he swallows a note for breakfast the first day of April, they say, it has to go down such a very long way that it gets to his stomach the 15th of May. Do you guys know your months?
Yeah.
You do know your months? So what month comes after April?
May.
So if he eats an oat the first day of April, it doesn't get all the way down to his tummy. until the middle of May. Is that a little while or a long while? Yeah, that's a really long while that it
By the
takes.
way, how does he even swallow it when he has like these little tubes and the little the neck is so long? But I'm not talking about. I'm talking about where his neck is so tiny.
That's probably
so
why it
how
takes a
does he
long
swallow?
time. It's just like, just like a giraffe. A giraffe also has a long neck, and they just swallow. It just takes a little bit longer to get down.
But they have a really big neck.
This one has a really big neck.
And they have
Longer than the giraffe.
That's true. I'll bag a big bug who is very surprising, a feller who has a propeller for rising.
Oh, that's a
See that propeller?
That's a tic-tac.
And zooming around, making cross-country hops from Texas to Boston with only 2 stops. All the way from Texas to Boston with just 2 stops. Now that sort of thing for a bug is just tops. And when I've caught him, then the next thing you know, I'll go and I'll capture a wild tic-tac-toe with X's that win and with zeros that lose. He'll look mighty good in this zoo of McGrew's.
That actually
You see he has a tic-tac on his body? Tic-tac-toe?
the X.
X's win and the O's lose. I'll bring back a gusset, a gherkin, a gasket, and also a gooch from the wilds of Nantasket. And 8 Persian princes will carry the basket, but what their names are, I don't know, so don't ask it. Do you see the 8 princes carrying the gusset, the gherkin, the gasket, and the gooch? I wonder which is which.
You don't remember which one's which?
I don't. It doesn't really tell me. So I think it leaves it up to us to imagine. So imagine for 1 second which one is the gherkin, which one is the gooch,
The big one.
which one is the gasket.
Which one's the goose?
Or we can just make up.
What do they all have in common?
This is the small one and the other one.
They all have in common.
What do the 4 animals in the basket have in common?
And
They're all animals. That's really good. Their names begin with what letter?
G.
Very good. Gherkin, gasket, gooch. They all begin with that. In a cave in Khartoum lives a beast called the Natch that no other hunter's been able to catch. He's hidden for years in a cave with a pout, and no one's been able to make him come out. But I'll coax him out with a wonderful meal that's cooked by my cooks in my cooker mobile.
That's
You
a
see the-
cool one.
You see the cooker mobile? It's like a moving kitchen. And he's going to use that to coax this guy, the Natch, out of his little cave. They'll fix up a dish that is just to his taste. 3 chicken croquettes made of library paste.
What's that?
Library paste, like glue. Can you imagine? He likes little cookies made out of glue. It's just the thing to catch a Natch. Then, sprinkled with peanut shucks, pickled and spiced, then baked at 600 degrees, and then iced.
600 degrees.
That 600 degrees is really, really hot, and then iced. So first you burn them, and then you ice them. Does that sound delicious? No, not really, huh? It's mighty hard cooking to cook up such feasts, but that's how the new zoo, McGrew Zoo, gets beasts.
How are they standing on that little chair?
That's how you gotta, apparently that's how you, the kind of things you gotta do to be able to get a Natch. You've gotta be able to make just a special meal and then to be able to travel up through a tightrope, up a very, very wiggly tree to get all the way up to the natch, but that's the only way that you can get them. I'll go to the faraway mountains of Topsk near the river of Nopsk and bring back an Obsk. That is an Obsk, my friends.
His neck is weird.
A kind of a thingamabobsk who only eats rhubarb and corn on the Kopsk.
Cops. I'm guessing that's not real because, like, animals eat animal stuff, not people. There's no such thing as animals.
Then people will flock to my zoo in Mopsk. McGrew, they will say, does a wonderful jobsk. He hunts with such vim and he hunts with such vigor. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, gets bigger and bigger. And speaking of birds, there's the Russian Paluski, whose head ski is red ski and belly is blue ski. I'll get one of them for my Zooski, Magrewski. I love the way he plays with words. Isn't that playful, the way that he just like picks something and then just uses it over and over? Then the whole town will gasp, why, this boy never sleeps. No keeper before ever kept what he keeps. There's no telling what that young fellow will do. And then just to show them, I'll sail to Katru and bring back an itkutch, a preep, and a prue, a nurgle, a nerd, and a seersucker too.
Where's the nerd?
McGrew? He's not in this picture, but he is in some pictures. We know he's... See him? McGrew? So he'll bring an itkutch, a preep, and a prue, a nurgle, a nerd, and a seersucker too.
The prue hair is
Like a heart. The prue has a heart-shaped hair. These guys are cute. I'll hunt in the jungles of Hipponohungus and bring back a flock of wild Bipponobungus. Those are Bipponobunguses. The Bipponobungus from Hipponohungus are better than those down from Dipponodungus. And smarter than those from Nippononungus. And that's why I'll catch them in Hipponohungus instead of those others in Nungus and Dungus. And people will say when they see these bips bounding, the zookeeper, new keeper's simply astounding. He travels so far that you'd think he would drop. When do you suppose that this young fellow will stop? Stop? Well, I should. But I won't stop until I've captured that Fizz-a-ma-whiz-a-ma-dill. They get crazier and crazier in this book. A Fizz-a-ma-whiz-a-ma-dill.
That's really He's driving a bulldozer off a cliff.
The world's biggest bird from the island of Gwark, who only eats pine trees and spits out the bark. And boy, when I get him back home to my park, the whole world will say, young McGrew's made his mark. He's built a zoo better than Noah's whole ark. These wonderful, marvelous beasts that he chooses have made him the greatest of all the McGrewses. Look at McGrew's new zoo. Pretty amazing place, huh? Wow, they'll all cheer. What this zoo must be worth is the gold-darndest zoo on the face of the earth.
Anyone was holding up a sign.
Yes, that's what I'd do, said young Gerald McGrew. I'd make a few changes if I ran the zoo.
I was just gonna say, it's really happening.
Do you guys think this is really happening?
No.
No. Was it? What was it? Sort of like a dream? Like he just closed his eyes and he imagined what he would do if he were the one who ran the zoo.
I think that would take a long time to think.
Thumbs up if you'd like to visit that zoo. If there was a real zoo like that, would you like to go there and see those animals?
Yeah.
That would be a pretty crazy zoo.
And now
So, hocus pocus. What do we say to our special guest reader this morning for joining us?
Thank you.
Thank you guys. You were
Such a
an
treat.
amazing audience. You guys are just so smart and have such great ideas. I just loved reading to you guys. So, can I come back and read some other time?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.